about a tutorial video about installing operating systems. So yeah, if you're interested, then just keep on watching. But before that, please subscribe to this channel, tap the notification bell so you'll be notified in our next vlog. At sa mga ka-groupmates ko na hindi nagpasa ng videos nila, kayo na bahala sa grades niyo. Bye! Installing operating systems. Before the installation process undertake, a technician must be aware of the minimum requirements of a computer hardware that is compatible with the operating system to be installed. Following the system's requirements means an efficient computer system. Planning the installation. As with any OS installation, we must plan the installation process. When you run the Windows 7 setup program, you must provide information about how to install and configure the operating system. Thorough planning can make your installation of Windows 7 more efficient by helping you to avoid potential problems during installation. An understanding of the configuration options will also help you to ensure that you have properly configured your system. Here are some most of the important things that you should take into consideration when planning for your Windows 7 installation. Check system requirements, check hardware and software compatibility, determine disk partitioning options, and complete a pre-installation checklist. Microsoft states the minimum recommended specs for Windows 7. 1GHz 32-bit or 64-bit processor, 1 GB of system memory, 16 GB of available disk space, support for DirectX 9 graphics with 128 MB memory to enable the Aero theme, DVD-R/W drive, and last, internet access to activate and get updates. You need to decide whether to install the 32-bit or 64-bit version of Windows 7. The Windows 7 installation disk package includes both 32-bit and 64-bit versions of Windows 7. Basically, the 64-bit version of Windows handles large amounts of random access memory, or RAM, more effectively than a 32-bit system. So if you plan on using Windows 7 on a computer with more than 3 GB of RAM, I would strongly suggest to use the 64-bit version. Most programs designed for the 32-bit version of Windows will work on the 64-bit versions of Windows, and if they don't, you can always use the Windows XP mode. Types of installation. Basically, there are two approaches to installing Windows 7. One is upgrade, or in-place upgrade. This option replaces your current version of Windows with Windows 7 and keeps your files, settings, and programs in place on your computer. Number 2, custom, or the fresh installation. This option replaces your current version of Windows with Windows 7, but doesn't reserve your files, settings, and programs. It's sometimes referred to as clean installation for that reason. As always, a free installation is much better, and I strongly recommend taking the track. Even if you've got an existing Windows XP or Vista OS on your computer, I would strongly recommend that you format it and install a fresh copy of the OS.
Beginning the installation process. When installing on a physical computer, insert your Windows 7 DVD media into your DVD drive and reboot your computer. If you're asked to press the key to boot from DVD or CD, press any key. A black window will appear momentarily while the DVD content is read. Next, a starting window screen will appear. The installation process. Like in Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008, and unlike previous versions of Windows, Windows 7 does not have noticeable text phase of the setup process, and it will boot directly into the graphical user interface to boot. After a few moments, you will see the first prompt. Click Next unless you want to change some regional settings for the installation process. Click on the Install Now button. Next, accept the license terms and click on Next. Next, unless you're upgrading an existing Windows installation, press the Custom Advanced Installation Type button. Now, note that in this case, the upgrade button is disabled because this specific installation is performed on a new computer without any previous operating system on it. If you don't want to specify a specific partition to install Windows on or create partitions on your hard disk, click Next to begin the installation. If you already have another partitions with enough free space and want to install the Windows 7 on the partition to create multi-boot configuration, select the partition you want to use and then click Next to begin the installation. If you want to create, extend, delete, or format a partition, click Drive Options Advanced. Click the option you want and then follow the instructions. The setup process will now begin to copy file from the installation DVD media to the hard disk. The process could take a while depending on the type of hardware your computer uses. The computer will reboot, and the next thing you'll see is the prompt to set the user's computer name. By default, the computer's name will be username PC, or username is the username you've entered. Click on Next. Enter the user's password. Remember, this password as it will be the only user on the system, and unless you create an additional user or enable to build an administrator account, if you forget this password, you'll need to crack it to gain access to it again. The best option would be to choose a complex password made at least 7 characters or more. You must also enter a password hint. Next, type in your product key. If you do not have the product key at hand, you can still click Next and proceed with the installation. You will be asked to enter the product key after Windows is installed. Choose what sort of protection your computer gets. The recommended settings are best for someone that doesn't plan to hide their computer behind the corporate firewall, and even then, in some cases, this would be the best option. If you plan to install a third-party firewall later, you can opt to be prompt later. Note that this setting will also have effect on how the computer uses the Microsoft Windows Update automatic update features.
Basic Input-Output System, BIOS. The Basic Input-Output System, usually referred to as BIOS, is software stored on a small memory chip on the motherboard. BIOS instruction the computer on how to perform a number of a basic function such as booting and keyboard control. BIOS is also used to identify and configure the hardware in a computer, such as hard drive, optical drive, CPU, memory, etc. The BIOS is accessed and configured through the BIOS Setup utility. The BIOS Setup utility is for all reasonable purposes, the BIOS itself. All available options in BIOS are configurable via the BIOS utility. The BIOS Setup utility is accessed in various ways depending on your computer or motherboard make and model. BIOS access and configuration on PC system is independent of any operating system because the BIOS is part of the motherboard hardware. It doesn't matter if a computer is running Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP, Linux, Unix, or no operating system at all. BIOS function outside of the operating system environment and is no way dependent upon it. BIOS contain a number of a hardware configuration options that can be changed through the setup utility. Saving those changes and restarting the computer applies the changes to the BIOS and alter the way BIOS instruction the hardware to function. The following list shows the thing you can do in most BIOS systems.
Device drivers. Now that you have successfully installed the operating system, you'll need to configure the devices such as video cards, network interface cards, sound cards, etc. By installing the device drivers of each, in many cases, if Windows recognizes the device, drivers will be installed automatically. In some cases, generic drivers are installed so that the drivers will work properly. And by the way, drivers are small software programs that help the operating system use or drive the device. Whenever a device doesn't work properly, ask if the proper driver has been installed. So, you know about the device drivers. Now I'm going to teach you or tell you how to install a drivers for hardware devices on a Microsoft Windows 2000 based computer. Step 1. Determine the hardware manufacturer. If you do not know the manufacturer of the device for which you want to install the driver, follow these steps to determine the manufacturer. On the desktop, right-click My Computer and then click Manage. Under Systems Tools, click Device Manager. The devices that are installed on the computer are listed in the right pane. Step 3. In the right pane, expand the category of the device that you want to configure. For example, expand display adapters. Note, the device may be listed under other devices. So step 4. Step 3. Right-click the device for which you want to install the driver, and then click Properties. And remember, the device may appear as unknown device or as a generic device. Step 5. Click the General tab, make a note of the manufacturer and model of the device. Step 6. Click Cancel and then quit Computer Management. And always remember, if the device is not displayed in the Device Manager or the device is listed as an unknown device, contact the computer or device manufacturer to obtain the information about the device.
To obtain the latest drivers, we're gonna use this list of the following possible sources for the driver in order in which they are presented. Number 1 is the original computer manufacturer. If the device was installed by the computer manufacturer, you can contact the manufacturer of your computer in order to obtain, download, and install latest drivers for the device. Number 2 is the device manufacturer. Contact the manufacturer of the device to inquire how to obtain, download, and install latest drivers for the device. And the third is the chipset manufacturer. Contact the chipset manufacturer to obtain, download, and install latest drivers for the device. And it is best to first contact the device manufacturer before the chipset manufacturer. For example, if your display adapter uses NVI-DIA chipset, you can contact the display adapter manufacturer first. And if the manufacturer does not have any drive, or if you cannot contact the manufacturer, you can contact the NVI-DIA. And some examples of the chipset manufacturers and their websites are NVI-DIA and PCT-EL Incorporation. And the fourth and the last is the installation CD or floppy disk. If you have the original driver CD or floppy disk that were included with a computer or device, and if no other sources for the drivers is available, use the original driver that is included with a computer or device. Note, whenever possible, try to contact the original equipment manufacturer, device manufacturer, or chipset manufacturer to obtain the latest version of the device.
3. Installed driver. The driver's files that you download from the OEM, device manufacturer, or chipset manufacturer differ depending on how the driver is packaged by the manufacturer. If the file is an executable program, run the program to extract the files. If the file is in zip format, you can use a third-party utility such as WinZip to extract the files. For more information about how to extract the driver files, see the instructions that are provided by the manufacturer of the driver. The driver may use a setup program. The driver package may contain raw driver files, or it may contain only raw driver files. Some examples include INF files and SYS files. To install the driver, use one of the following methods as appropriate to your situation. Device is not displayed in Device Manager. Use the Add New Hardware wizard in Control Panel to install drivers for non-plug-and-play devices. You may have to use this method to install certain modems, serial ports, or printer ports. Number 1, click Start. Point to Settings and then click Control Panel. Number 2, double-click Add or Remove Hardware. Number 3, click Next. Number 4, click Add or Troubleshoot a device and then click Next. Number 5, do one of the following. Click Yes, search for a new hardware and then click Next, or click No, I want to select the hardware from a list and then click Next. Number 6, follow the wizard instructions to install the driver, and number 7, restart the computer. Conduct tests on the installed computer system. In the next phase of your learning, it will focus on conducting tests on the installed computer components. After reading all the required topics and performing the essential skills, you must be able to follow OHS policies and procedures in conducting tests, check circuits and systems being isolated using specified testing procedures, test devices, systems, and/or installation to determine its conformity with the requirements, undertake final inspections on the installed devices, systems to ensure conformity with the requirements, accomplish technical reports on the test conducted, and follow procedures in forwarding documentation to appropriate personnel and/or authority on the test conducted. Testing installed equipment, devices, components. As computer technician, you will need a good understanding of the health and safety regulations from early on in your career, so that you understand the good practices demanded by law. In particular, you need to report any accidents, take reasonable care for your own health and safety when moving heavy components, not cause any electrical hazards, make sure that workstations meet safety requirements. You need to adhere to health and safety regulations as they will help to protect you and others and will avoid any unnecessary legal action for reckless and unsafe working practices. If you identify any health and safety problems, you should tell your line manager or the health and safety representative immediately. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from our vlog. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our video. Till the next!